What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jack Ramsays post-game show. I'm your coach, Danny Marang, as always, joined by the half Atlanta Brave, half Oregon State Beaver, and all around just celebrating guy tonight. Look at you, got the Lillard jersey on backwards. Mr. Sprague is lit, folks.
Danny, I don't mean to make this sound like I'm exaggerating by any means.
It's a good sports night for you.
I've never had a better sports night in my entire existence of life. I've never had football, basketball, and baseball on the same night all have moments like they had today. Never in my life. I've never experienced what this is. It's a sports trifecta unlike any other. And if anybody has ever had a day or a night like this in their sports life, I think you feel like one of the very privileged and rare ones to ever exist. Because tell me, how many nights have you had where all of this thing has collided the way it did today?
The closest I think I can get is USC had a couple still good runs in the early Roy Aldridge era.
Okay.
So we had a couple of those nights, but you had to fast forward. But I also had my Cardinals. My Cardinals had a World Series in the same time period, but my LA Kings were a few years later. So
yeah, see, I'm talking same day.
Yeah, no, USC got throttled tonight, so it was not a great sports night for me.
I made some money on that game, so shout out to USC.
Listen, man, that was had UCLA and Oregon both lost tonight, it would have been a primo sports night. But yeah, no, but this is a unbelievable game. You saw this one coming as far as the Blazers showing out. Did you have it picked quite this lopsided?
Well, I'll tell you right now, if you listened to anything we said in the pregame, and maybe you said, I'm going with Sprague. Sprague's riding some weird feeling. And you went alternative Blazer spread and had Blazers winning by 20 or more. I promise you those odds would have been an insane amount of money won for you. That being said, I'm not shocked they won in blowout fashion. No, I did not see it coming and playing out quite this way, where I look at the box score and I'm seeing, oh, Dame had 19. I didn't know Dame had more than 5. Like, it was so impactful. And that's not a knock. Everybody was so impactful that he didn't play a second in the fourth quarter, which is great. And what he did ultimately didn't make or break anything that they ended up doing that whole night. It really was the complete package as a team game.
Yeah, just want to give a quick shout out to everybody pouring in here. Franklin's World, time for Danny to bring us back down to earth. I'm not going to really do that. I do have a nitpick here or there, but because I think it's fun to get wrapped up.
You have a nitpick today?
I think we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Wow, I cannot wait to hear what nitpick you have
it's not going to be something. It's not going to be something that I think people are going to really entirely see coming. I hinted at it a little bit on Twitter, but overall, let's take a step back. The Blazers beat the ever-living hell out of the Suns. It wasn't ever really close. Give me your 30,000-foot synopsis. What are the things that you are taking away from this game?
Well, I'll take away the most obvious one. Defense. I thought the way that they rotated early, they clearly had an MO of we're giving a damn about tonight's game. They caught Phoenix on the back-to-back. I think the other reason I liked them tonight was back-to-backs don't normally matter for most people anymore. I think in the early part of the season, it does, because guys are still getting their legs, they're still getting their conditioning going. And so that's why I kind of took that into account. That being said, I thought Portland did an exceptional job. I really did. Not that CJ was like the greatest one-on-one, but I thought he was really good tonight defensively. He was rotating. He was always putting a hand in a face. Like, it's little things like that we didn't see against Sacramento. Or we saw like way overcorrecting and falling for too many up fakes. Like, I just felt a lot better about what they did defensively. That is easily for me my number one, with the young guys coming in as a close number 2.
Okay, so apparently I'm going to hop into my nitpick right away. I thought the defense was good, but I think people are very much looking to pick the defense is great, the defense is great, the defense is great. What I saw was the most important thing, at least for like pushing forward, was what you hit on, activity. But I also saw a Suns team that did not care to read or react. There were probably half a dozen possessions in the first 10 minutes of the game where the Blazers blew their rotations, where the Kings killed them in the first game. The Suns didn't care to make the play. I saw, 2-3 guys closing out on the same guy off a second rotation. The stuff that the Kings did a really good job of exploiting them. I thought the Suns, maybe that's some tired legs, maybe that's a little bit of that, but that's where my nitpick is going to come in. I thought the activity was great.
Okay.
The thing that I think I'm going to get behind on this is it was structured chaos. So when they made a mistake, it was made at 100%. In game one, that was not the case. Guys, you saw a lot of, Tonight,
yep.
If you made the mistake, hell, fine. You live with it. The best deodorant, I think, in the NBA right now is making threes. And they came out and they made threes. You and I talked about it right out of the gate. They were 4 of 13 in the first half against the Sacramento Kings. Tonight, at one point, they believe they were 8 of 15 with 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. When you're knocking down threes like that and you're just shooting the cover off the ball, your defensive rotations can be a little wonky. You can be out of position. You can take some risks. But overall, I thought it was a great game. I think we need to roll the defense's great stuff back and go, it's a step in the right direction. Let me bring up my wet blanket. Womp, 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 womp.
Here, let me quickly push back on that a little bit. While I think everything you said makes sense, I don't know if they're gonna play better defense collectively as a group. I think that was the example of how good they are.
Okay.
If they're good, that's how good they are. If they're better than that, I'll be floored. That's why it's such a big deal for me, because I don't have many expectations for them on that end of the court.
I think both of our expectations are down pretty low as far as consistency.
I think most people's are defensively for them. So to see them come out and play with that energy, to sustain that energy, to see guys like CJ say, I'm not going to do it for 2 possessions. I'm going to stick with it as long as I'm playing. Like, to me, that matters. And I just, while your point again may be valid, I don't think this group is, I don't think they're capable of playing better defense. I think that is at top end what they are. And where does that rank in the league? I don't know. It's way too early to dictate that, but I was really impressed, because that's the area emphasis for this team this year. It's what everything is about. It's why Terry is fired. And tonight they sent people home from the Moda Center and people on their couches watching going, that was good. That was good effort. They busted their ass tonight.
And I think that's the important thing is the effort. Kyle Neely, LOL, what Danny means to say, this is what happens when you make your shots. And yeah, no, there's a big part of that. The Blazers were incredibly sloppy in game one, not only with their shot decisions, but their decision trees. They were incredibly careless with the ball. They turned it over a ton before halftime, and they picked up a truckload of fouls. Tonight, they went to the break at halftime. Sprague, they had 3 turnovers and 4 fouls, and they were shooting 56% from the floor and 45 from 3.
Nurkic didn't commit his first foul to the 21-minute mark of his rotation minutes. Like,
clean game.
See that was very clean. Remember the preseason game that you were freaking out about that I told you didn't matter. I mean, all jokes aside, though, Ayton kind of ate him alive when he played. Tonight, you didn't feel that.
He played him really well.
He played him really, really well, yeah.
Greg Lash says, congrats to Coach Billups on win number 1. Yeah. I mean, that's Chauncey's first. I hope they pop a bottle for him in the locker room and they get to celebrate, and this is one of many for him.
I think they did it. They did it with Terry, so they'll do it with Chauncey.
Yeah, no, that's a cool thing. What was it? Connor Strong. Dame made a 3-pointer. We'll get to Dame. Actually, screw it. We'll get into the box score stuff here real quick. The note that I have here: CJ McCollum seen leaving Moda on fire. Yeah. So he's ball stopping like there's no tomorrow, but it doesn't matter when you're cooking.
No,
that's what I take away from CJ's first 2 games.
CJ in a nice zone. He's starting the season off very similar to what he did last year. We played this just a game ago. Like, do you think this will keep up? I still am going to vote that he's a little below the average, but to see this kind of play, to see kind of him assert himself as the clear number 2, because there is no overtaking the number 1 spot, to see him assert that and kind of maybe send a message to the rest of the team of like, hey man, don't be fooled here with some of these contracts and minutes. Like this hierarchy
this is still mine.
It's just, and you know what? I think some of that, like he had that moment, he hit back-to-back buckets. He hit a 2 and then he hit the 3 and the crowd went crazy. And I think it pushed the lead to 24. It's like 94-70. and Phoenix called a timeout. He ran to the other end near Phoenix's bench, and he started yelling at the crowd. And I always think part of that is, I read his lips saying like, I'm hot. But then I also think part of that is kind of big F you to people out there for all summer wanting to trade me again. And also I still am the number 2 dude here. Like, this is still my building too.
So back-to-back games, 6 of 11 from 3. Starting the season, 12 of 22 from 3 will definitely make you look pretty damn good. This is, however, for me, this is back-to-back games with CJ. Again, if I'm going to nitpick, that ball is stopping with him. He's hitting.
Like, but he's hitting, though. Does it matter when he's hitting?
I think it does, because when we talked about what we talked about in the pregame, process. But if he's going to be this hot and talk cash shit the entire time, I'm not going to argue with it. I mean, let's not get it twisted. On the flip side of this is Damian Lillard finally hits his first 3 after starting 0 for 9. He started, 0 for 3 tonight before he knocked one down and finished 2 of 7 from 3. So 2 for 16 to start the season from 3. But 19 points, 8 assists, 6 of 11. Did you see Damian Lillard turning into Rod Strickland on your cue cards for this season? Because I didn't, because all he does is score at the rim.
No, I didn't, but I'll tell you this. Despite not seeing it, I think it's the best thing for them. He's getting guys involved
early.
I think he's establishing, like, dudes, I'm running out of patience with this thing. And if this other dude isn't going to make a big move for us, and this is our roster, I need you guys to step up. This cannot be the Damian Lillard show for 82 straight games, no off nights, welcomed because we can't win. I think it's great. I think he is building confidence for the younger players, and I think he's making the rotation fill-in role guys. I think he's making them feel good about themselves. I love seeing what we're seeing from him. Again, I don't even feel like he played all that much because everybody was so damn good tonight. But to see that final box score, to remember some of those plays he was making of, driving in the lane and kicking the guys, like, that's a Lillard we haven't seen, but it might be the Lillard they need the most.
So what I saw schematically from the Blazers tonight, a lot more pick and roll, a lot more dribble handoff, a lot more pistol action, DHO, out of the corners with guys getting downhill, turning towards the middle of the floor, a lot of action to the middle of the floor. While they were getting to the paint, putting feet in the paint, they were collapsing the defense and kicking out. And the Suns honestly looked a lot like the Blazers did in their first game. For a team that should have been a lot better defensively, and we talked to Gerald about this in the pregame from Phoenix, was the Suns they find themselves in a little bit in this situation where they can overlook opponents and maybe feel a little too good about themselves. And I think you got some of that, but you also have to tip your cap to the Blazers tonight, and Damian Lillard is setting that tone, getting the ball moving. Now, I still don't think they're at the and they won't ever get there with the way their personnel are in this Warriors-esque offense where it's just going to pop around. But one of the big things I saw tonight, it wasn't necessarily when Dame was on the floor. I think that's the next evolution. But they were getting into their offense at 18 seconds, 17 seconds, 19 seconds. They were not, and I'm talking like 2-3 passes into their offense already at that point in time, as opposed to getting into the half court at 18, 16, 15.
And without looking at the final numbers, I have the box score. I'm just not going to click it because, look, the final numbers I don't know will represent what I'm about to say. Tonight felt like a night where we both talked about this in the pregame. Do you pass up 3-point shots? Are you making an effort to shoot less? I didn't see that. I saw a team, there were a couple of them that was like 1 pass, 2 pass, shoot in rhythm, perfect. Mm-hmm. I saw other times those guys got it off 1 pass, maybe it's the second pass of the possession, boom, shooting it up. I didn't see a team that was looking to cut down threes. I saw a team that was aggressive, ramp it up, and also getting guys good looks. Like, ball movement mattered when it mattered, and other times it was just guys going, screw it, I'm feeling it right now, letting it fly.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I guess we'll hit on Norm here real quick. Norm did leave the game with a little under 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. Bummer, because Norm was on a heater too. You were going to have a game where Norm and CJ were probably fighting for touches of who was going to cook who. I was actually looking forward to that. How many
points did CJ get from Norm's absence?
Yeah, you want to like, Norm's out. I got to get a few more in here. I haven't got an update yet. Let me. I guess this doesn't make for great live streaming. But let me see if the Blazers have made an announcement. I don't see any. No, there's no announcement yet. So hopefully,
they're waiting on the MRI.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get something on that. Let's just be honest, and I'm not going to sit here and stir the pot or anything, but if you're waiting on the MRI, that's not necessarily a good sign. MRIs are never good.
Do you ever come to a podcast like with a positive attitude? Like, is everything got to be negative?
I'm just saying. See, here's the thing. If
We're poll question after this pod.
Oh, are you kidding me? Everybody's going to say I'm negative because
No, not you. Ask about the defense. I just want to see if people are with you. Like,
no, they won't be because it was a fun game. But I always try, no matter what happens, I always try to say, okay, I don't try to find something wrong. I look at it and go, okay, because I think a lot of people are, and this isn't a bad thing, but they're results oriented, not necessarily process. And I want to stick by the process because the process will guide you more effectively than the results. Because if you knock down a truckload of threes, like I said, that is a hell of a deodorant. It will cover up a lot, but the tape's not going to lie. And so that's one of those things where I just kind of stand on it over and over. Lindsay says, Danny gonna Danny. Listen, I know what I am. I know where I am and where I sit in this. But I tell you what, you want to see me get happy? Oh, yeah. Anfernee Simons, do you believe Brandon Sprague?
Now, I'm going to nitpick here.
Love it.
No, he was amazing.
Yeah.
Get the young guys some props, man. Like, I know that's your guy. It's well established. You're going to be biased with him his whole career. That's okay. But he played great in game one. He had an air of confidence to him that, some guys you can just see it. You can feel like this dude's an NBA player. And he showed it. He produced it in game one. What's he do for game two? He plays even better. I thought he played even better. He was bouncing around. His first three, he did like a weird catch, jump, shoot, and it was way off. He hit nothing but the backboard. And I think that was a bit of like, I didn't mean to shoot that, but I got kind of caught in the process.
He got stuck with a grenade. He had to get one off.
Yeah, and so I think after that, he settled his nerves, and he went right back to playing the way we saw in game one. He attacked the paint. He was looking to get guys some touches, some good looks. And overall, man, I don't think he plays better than that. I think that's the prime peak Ant on this team. Maybe he gets a few more if some guys go down with injury, but like I loved everything I saw from Anfernee Simons tonight.
Yeah, so the thing about Ant was, again, tonight, getting 2 feet in the paint. That hezzy where he froze JaVale McGee with the sidestep was nasty. You saw the entire Blazers bench get up and go, okay. Yeah. But this is not me tooting my own horn. This is just I've believed in the kid, and I've stuck by him because I know how good he is, how talented he is. He can legitimately be that guy. I wasn't just sitting here saying I can see him scoring 15 a game pretty easily because this is what he can do. He missed some shots. I guarantee you, if you asked him, if you put him on a truth machine, he'd tell you he won some back. He had a couple floaters that he hits normally. He got free. He had that one just airmailed floater over McGee where I was like, hey, listen, man, if he's hitting that, just pack it up. You're not going to stop the kid. But 4 of 8 from 3, only 1 assist. I think he was not pushed into, but he was more of a shot creator, shot taker tonight as opposed to having to create for others. And I think a lot of his playmaking came as secondary. He got 2 feet in the paint, kicked it out, one more pass over. He had a couple hockey assists tonight. All in all, fantastic game from Ant, and I think he's just going to build on that. And obviously, Nassir Little, he's bringing the vibes. He is all vibes. This team against Sacramento was vibeless until Nas came in. Yeah. And they came out with more energy tonight, but Nas came out there, and that man is 2 glow sticks short of his own personal rave, and I love it.
Well, and also, bear in mind that what he did in game 1 was great. He was also another, are we going to see, is this Nas? Has Nas finally reached it? Well, tonight he showed us the Nas that was talked and written about in the camp. That's the Nassir Little they were talking about to those reporters, and now we got to see that, and it's in back-to-back games. I think it's great. I couldn't be more happy for Nassir Little. I thought he showed a glimpse last year, and then he got COVID, and he never was the same player after that. And I know it's easy. Well, what happened to Nas? Well, COVID really kicked his ass, and I don't think it was talked about enough.
No.
So to see him be able to come back, and he suffered some injuries in the preseason. He's good now. To see him out there thriving, not going outside of what he's asked to do, going up and down the court, making good stops defensively while trying to get out on the transition and get an alley-oop or a good look that way. Nassir Little and Anfernee Simons, your first two off the bench, and so far easily, not even a debate to me, your best bench players that you have, and you're going to clearly have to rely on them if this is who they are a ton this season.
Yeah, so what I really liked about Nas is the energy and the passion that he's playing with. And Chauncey said this, and it's been echoed, is Nas has to play harder than everybody else on the floor. When he knocked down that three and he screamed, you could just tell that it was the culmination of effort, the work. I don't want to dive into it because we've talked about it a ton, but the last 18 months for Nas has sucked personally for him. He has been through hell and back, lost 30 pounds with COVID. I mean, we talk about that, but we forget about what happened to him in the bubble where there was a legitimate health scare. He blacked out. He hit the ground. He had teammates standing over him crying, Brandon. Like, it was a scary moment. And that was supposed to be his coming out party then. And then again, he gets derailed by COVID. And then here in camp, he has that awful game one in the preseason, and then he pulls the hammy. He's had so many false starts, and you could see it tonight where he was like, yeah, this is it. This is it, man. Like, everything just started coming together. And if he can be that energy guy, he will get the opportunity to show the rest of his game. And I think that's the big thing because Ant can shoot and create. Nas is going to be that guy next to him who can give you the other stuff. And it's a hell of a 1-2 punch, especially when you consider what Zeller and Nance can bring.
Well, and I think what's important, too, for guys like Nas is the more reps he's getting, the more time he's going to get out on that court. I think actually the better he ends up getting offensively because then he'll know where to pick and choose his spots. He'll know, like, he'll learn tendencies of all these guys, right? He didn't get to play with them as many minutes as some of the other dudes coming back this year. So I think getting as many minutes as possible is just going to help him get a better feel for what and who he is going to be for this year's team. Are we finally ready to admit that I was right, that the preseason's irrelevant? Nobody gives a crap. Are we still freaking out about Nassir Little?
I'm not going to go that far. And I don't, you know me, I wasn't freaking out about Nas. We all said the same thing. It was, you could tell Nas was nervous, and this was his first real opportunity where he felt like there's nobody looking over his shoulder. To be honest, if there's something with Norm where he's going to miss any period of time,
could be huge.
It's probably going to be Nas starting.
What happened? I mean, isn't that kind of what we've been asking for years, though, right? Like an athletic,
a 6'6", 6'7"
oh my
truck
God.
who's
yeah.
Listen, I'm to be honest, I'm pretty pissed that they took that dunk away from him tonight.
Well, who was the foul on?
They called it on Ant on the pass off. They
that was garbage.
Yeah, even Ant looked at the ref like
garbage. Because he gave him a clean pass and he
Yeah.
turned to the crowd like, you see that, right? You love that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't hear the whistle. I think Kevin Calabro and Lamar were caught off guard because
nobody knew what was going on.
Nobody knew that they had taken the basket off. Calabro had a huge, loud, oh my gosh! And then before you know it, they're replaying it when the points are on. You're like, what happened here? What foul was committed?
So it's a fun thing right now to bask in all of this. It is, I think I phrased it as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde between games 1 and game 2. Which one of these games is more indicative, or is this a Blazers team that it's going to be frustrating because they're going to vacillate between the two?
Well, I think for some of our Oregon Duck fans that are listening right now, I think the best comp I can tell you is you're the Oregon Ducks of the NBA. That could be a great thing. Like tonight is a great night. You beat Phoenix soundly and you played really well on both ends of the court. And you gave you've given a lot of people maybe some optimism about this season being a little better than you thought. But I also worry that they're going to play to a lot of their opponents. They're going to play, 500, maybe barely sub 500, borderline playoff type teams, and they're going to play them tight. And some nights they might end up losing some of those games. That's kind of what I'm taking away. Tonight was really impressive. I couldn't be happier. But the Sacramento game will not go out of my mind. Sacramento, by the way, looks tough. They played Utah down to the wire last night.
They Kangs it up a little bit, but that's to be expected. That's the growing pains of being the Kangs.
Of young guys. So I think a long-winded way answering your question, I think they're kind of just be a night-to-night team. Like if you told me what happens Monday against the Clippers, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised one way or the other. I think that's kind of who they are.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be not a perfect measuring stick. It's going to be a good measuring stick because you're going to get basically like 3-tiered teams. The Sacramento team that's trying to claw their way up, the Suns who were supposed to be up top, and the Clippers who we don't really know and we kind of expect to be around where the Blazers are. It's going to be a brutal stretch run, so in that sense, I do expect them to have a Kings game and then a Suns game and then somewhere in between. It's 82 games, and I think that's something that we have to kind of consider here too, is that we got to get back to 82 games. The Blazers, the NBA has played 2 seasons basically, and they haven't been at 82 for 2 years. And getting back into that flow and that groove of a team being hot, a team being cold, that in between.
We got breaking news from Woj. Initial findings on Portland guard Norman Powell's left knee suggest he avoided a serious injury.
That's a really crappy way to phrase that, because that means the injury, not serious. He's gonna miss.
He's gonna miss some time. It sounds like he almost tore an ACL. The way, I mean, am I misinterpreting that?
Nope. I mean, we know exactly where Woj got the exact wording from that from. So don't get it twisted. Bro. It's worded that way specifically for that reason.
Calm down, bro.
Yeah.
All right, Jace. Calm down, Jace.
Again, this is why I kind of preempted this with, listen, if they're taking an MRI, it's typically not a good sign. If he's got an ACL or an MCL sprain, we're probably going to see him out for a couple weeks. That's just kind of how that works. I mean, I'm coming off a minor MCL tear, and I was out for 6 months. So,
and by the way, as everybody's pointing out, like, you kind of read this, and I know it says avoided, but it's really weirdly written, and you kind of like your heart drops while also coming back up for air. Like, okay, it's not that bad.
Well, let's be honest. It's the Portland Trailblazers, and Neil thinks he's freaking Bill Belichick with these sneaky injury reports and how he's hiding something. And it's been so effing tiresome the entire time he's run the organization.
We haven't even that's reporting. We haven't actually officially listed anything. Okay?
Yeah, thank you, Neil. I appreciate it. It's definitely something that I wish they were a lot better about. And the fact that the NBA is tied into gambling now, I half expected to go away.
Yeah. No. Hey, this is my whole random sports fan thing. I think in college football, NBA. Like, the more gambling stuff gets tied in, the more transparent these teams are going to have to be. Yeah. Like, at some point, if you're not, lawsuits are going to start piling up. You're like, oh, my God, how do we deal with this problem?
Yeah, how can you take bets on a game when you don't know a guy's going to be ready to go until 15 minutes before? And the Blazers have done that stuff. They try to play like it's the NFL where, scheming for a particular – the guy's going to go where he's not going to go. They're not going to change their scout based on someone's – being 75%.
Well, you see this in football too. It's like they don't want to say anything, and then last minute the lineman's not playing. It's like, do you think the defense has suddenly got some big playbook or something that they weren't ready?
Yeah, here's what's going to happen. Like, Myles Garrett's going to flip from the left to the right side, and he's going to go eat that backup tackle alive. Hey, it doesn't change.
Can we get back to a little positivity here just for a quick second?
Let's do it.
So now we know he is out. We don't know the timetable. We know it's not season ending. Kind of weirdly excited to see Nassir in the starting lineup.
Well, here's the thing. You and I are both operating under I think, Stottsisms as far as who we expect to step in.
Oh, you don't think it would be him?
I do think it's going to be Nas. I think there's a very strong possibility. They could go with Nance and Covington. I don't think they will. Perhaps Snell. Here's the other thing. Perhaps Snell is ready to go here in a couple days, and they start Snell to keep Nas in his spot. I'm just saying. I want Nas. Listen, double barrel it up, man. I want to see Nas in this role. But, and this has always been the case of anybody playing the 3 on a Dame and CJ team. When you're playing that position, you don't really do much other than bring energy and hustle. They don't see the ball all that often. If Nas is with that quasi bench unit or one of the other guards is out, and there's Larry Nance Jr. out there as well, the ball's going to pop around a little bit more. He can get a little bit more involved offensively. There's also a larger priority, and he can't take the defensive burden off Dame or CJ when he comes in, because you've got CJ typically going out when Nas comes in, so you've got Norm and Nas on the floor at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. But yeah, I am 100% involved in wanting to have Nassir Little get a larger role here.
Yeah, I think that's, I can't believe you dare suggest that Tony Snell note here. That kind of just bummed me out for some reason. But
it's a possibility. He could get the token start and run like 6 minutes each half. You know that.
Sure. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Dwo just tweeted again. He underwent initial imaging on Saturday night. He literally just added nothing to his original.
I hate it when he does that.
He just quote tweeted his tweet to say he scored 16 points and left. No shit, Sherlock. You're reporting that he left with an injury. We already know he left with an injury. What are we doing here?
Yeah, and it was on Saturday night per sources. God.
Per sources. Just say Neil Olshey. You shout him out if he makes a good trade.
It's just
quick saying we'll know more in the morning.
Well, I mean, they've already run the MRI. They know. I mean, the swelling.
I know. I'm just saying. Quick is saying that source says team will know more in morning, but it looks like left knee injury is not serious.
That means there's some swelling, and they're going to make sure, and they're going to check it again in the morning, which that's good. It's what they should do. We made it this far, about a half hour in here, and there's two guys we really didn't talk a ton about, and they only took 5 total shots.
Yeah, I think Rob's right. I cannot believe I let you dare speak that start Snell stuff into existence. How dare you? We're having a great night over here, Danny.
I'm
throwing water.
I'm not. I'm just throwing out the opportunities. That's all I'm believing.
Is he even healthy enough to play? I mean, like
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
If you were the messenger, I would be the dude from 300. I would kill the messenger right now. I'm kicking you down the hole.
This is Portland. It's just kicked down the hole.
This is Nas's time. That's what I would do to that right now.
PM says, I believe in Cody Zeller supremacy. So Nance and Zeller took a total of 5 shots, but I thought they had a hell of an impact on tonight's game.
Why was he playing the last 7 minutes?
Who?
Was that Cody? He was playing with the scrub unit.
I think they were just giving him a little bit of burn, let him get out there and get a little.
Wait, were you not sitting there going, "Oh God, just don't get hurt"?
Yes and no. They got Nurk off the floor. This is the situation with them. Not they must not trust Watford at all, because they have
no reason. They have no reason to.
No, right? But in this game, I think is a perfect opportunity to throw him out there. But I thought Zeller and Nance were fantastic tonight in the role player positions.
If you had on your bingo card Dennis Smith Jr. throwing a lob to CJ Ellaby at the start of the fourth quarter,
that or the Cody Zeller floater. What are the 2 more random events that you could have ever pulled up? Dennis Smith Jr. pinpoint precision lob to CJ Ellaby. Everything about that sounds right until you get to CJ Ellaby.
No matter what your second option is, I'm going with that one right there. I did not have CJ Ellaby finishing a lob from Dennis Smith Jr. early in the fourth because they were beating Phoenix so badly. I didn't have that one.
But I thought Zeller made incredible decisions tonight on the short roll. He seems to find the right downshift when he catches in space. And for that split second, he just kind of scans from left to right. You going to suck in and help? No? Okay, I'm going to hit this floater. Oh, you're going to suck in and help? Let me kick this ball out to the corner for 3. It's not Draymond Green-esque in the speed of what he's doing, but it's like 30,000% faster than Enes Kanter catching on the short roll. So I think it's a good compromise, and he just unlocks things that weren't there previously. And on the Nance front, I thought you saw more of what makes him more valuable, just making smart, heady plays. And when the offense seemed to bog down a little bit, did you notice that he got out there, was like, no, we need to move this ball a little bit more. Let me go ahead and speed this up. It went out of his hands, came back to his hands. He swung to one side to the other side. He just kind of got things going again. I think that's a huge, huge thing for this team.
How much of tonight do you think that they can translate to being a more every game thing, if that makes sense? Like tonight was a lot of Dame not really hunting for shots. Are we thinking this is really how the season's going to go? Not the outcome, but just the way that they're kind of the style they're playing.
I think they can get to it, but this sounds like I'm kicking the Blazers here, but I'm not. I don't think the Suns. I think the Suns came out with the same energy the Blazers had in Game 1. I don't think the Suns. Book seemed to be the only one really engaged. Ayton was halfway there. Bridges, I thought, played a so-so game. Crowder was a curmudgeon, but not in his usual like antagonistic tear your team apart way.
He wasn't impactful.
He seemed kind of whiny tonight as opposed to just being a consistent pain in your ass. And it was kind of weird, man. Did you notice Chris Paul at all tonight?
I didn't. He didn't drink Chris's secret stuff.
It was weird. It was really weird, and
I don't think it was.
You don't think so? Why not?
No, because I think the other thing that I really liked about Portland's chances tonight was just them. Chris Paul has to play for them to win in the postseason.
100%.
So is Chris Paul going out and giving 1,000% on the very first back-to-back of the season in Game 3?
At age, what is he, 37 now?
37?
Yeah.
Like, the fact that LeBron still does what he does at his age is crazy. Chris Paul is like barely behind him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was something I took into account. And, you know, Book, to your point, Book looked like the one that really cared. Wasn't like he was on fire, though. He was missing a lot of shots.
I think he was very normal Book. Just, yeah, he's going to go out and do Devin Booker things. Like, you look at the box score at the end of the night, you're like, 21, 9-19, not a great night, but Chris Paul.
Like, who was their second best player tonight?
Bridges.
That's how bad. Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Bridges was the second, but you look at Chris Paul's box score tonight, and dude, he took 5 shots. He had 11 assists, but he took 5 shots.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: the Suns were 9 of 28 from 3, which I think is again knocking down threes is the best deodorant you can have as a team, regardless of where you are in the rest of your offense and the rest of your defense. It is the great equalizer. Like the Warriors this season, when they've got that lineup cooking and Steph's going and Poole's going, remember, they were beating the brakes off the Lakers the other night. And then the Lakers came back. It was like, oh, they stopped hitting threes. But if you can sit there and go bonkers, I think that's what Portland did tonight. So speaking of going bonkers, if you're here, you're liking the show, you're supporting the show, take 2 seconds, click the subscribe button. Find the podcast wherever you Google search it, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get podcasts. Like, rate, review, subscribe, do all of those things. Help us grow the show. Remember, Brandon and I will be here every postgame, all season long. We've got guests booked for postgame. Trying to get some for the postgames as we go to, but as you can tell, it's 10 o'clock at night, and Brandon's got to go to bed.
Well, we're doing the mailbag tomorrow. We got the Clipper game on Monday. Like, we got back-to-back pods coming. Clippers just lost to the Grizzlies tonight. Paul George went insane, so that could be good. Maybe he unloaded the clip a little bit too much. And I'll say this. I know a lot of people have tweeted about it, but it's hard not to see kind of a weird little start here in the Western Conference. So
nothing makes any sense so far.
No, and it's like a couple games in, but it's like,
Kings? Kings.
Grizzlies.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
Lakers?
I think, honestly, I know we say this, it's hard to form anything for the beginning of the season.
I know.
But I do believe the Western Conference, you're going to see a lot of standings changes, and we're not going to really know until injuries shake out, like post All-Star break, where teams are going to end up.
I think a couple teams will eventually, like, kind of, separate themselves. This has a real feel, though. Like, the year Portland got the 3 seed, I think they were 2 or 3 games above from the 8. Like, it was that kind of. Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of that season.
You're going to get a team above 500 that's going to miss the playoffs this year. I'm almost certain of it.
Or you'll get a team that's at 500 making the playoffs, like,
because everybody's just beating the hell out of each other.
Beating the living hell out of each other.
Yeah, well, I mean, the East has had sub 500 teams doing that for a while now, so whatever.
I mean, the East just won the NBA championship. So.
That's fair. Listen, I'm shout out Giannis. We'll get out of here on that because we always shout out Giannis. Again, thank you guys for coming by. We were over 220 viewers through the live show here. Thank you if you subscribed tonight. Thank you for coming by. I hope you enjoy the show. If you enjoyed it, please share it with somebody. If you hated it, please share it with somebody and tell them you hate it so they come hate watch us. We don't care. You can find us on social media at Danny Marang, at Brandon Sprague, at Jack Ramsays. And as Brandon said, we do have the mailbag pod tomorrow. Brandon and I will record. You can email us or you can email us directly, jackramsays@gmail.com. Brandon is holding up his OSU Beaver beanie, his Atlanta Braves hat, and his Damian Lillard backwards jersey. It's a good day to be Brandon Sprague. Get your questions in ahead. Normally I solicit them before, but I wanted to make sure we got this game in. So if you have questions, send them to me at Twitter, at Danny Marang, send them to at Jacked Ramsays, and again, jackedramsays@gmail.com. I'll get to as many, or we will get to as many as we can, and that'll be in your downloads ready to go Monday morning. Until Monday, we will catch you all then. Thank you all so very much. For Brandon,